Thank you so much for joining me, Dr. Kuykendall. You know, one of the things that has kept coming up in these interviews is that you have had successes in helping people through problems that they thought there was no solution. You know, there are so many different conditions and diseases in our culture nowadays that the mainstream kind of says, oh, there's really nothing you can do about it. We can give you this drug or that drug to help you with the symptoms, but sorry, there's nothing we can do. What has been your experience? I mean, you've worked with over 40,000 patients. You know, for people who feel like they've hit a dead end and there's nothing they can do and they're in this just kind of impossible situation, you know, what is your perspective on that? What has been your experience?
Well, the first thing is to just be aware that there's hope. There's a lot of people that come in, like myself, when I was very sick with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and severe anxiety, like some of the worst. I would not wish on anybody. I thought I was dying constantly, is to know that there's actually a lot that can be done. And so step one is that, right? And step two is to then be able to become aware of, okay, what are the different processes that different practitioners that are trained this way that utilize nutrition and work with emotional body, work with structure, work with neurology, work with endocrine, work with detoxification, whatever the different processes are. When you combine them, we're stacking so many different approaches and so many different layers. A really good practitioner should be able to do that. And it's getting out there more. However, there's not that many that I know about that really combine all of these things. That's why I really love the work that I did and still do. But knowing that there is a possibility and there is very science-based processes that you can take people through, that you can do this, is an amazing, amazing thing to just, one, say, wow, others have done this, including myself. So, and I had to go through my own terrible breakdowns in order to get there. But there's a thing in medicine called 80-20 or 80-10-10, which is, let's say 80% are going to get better, 80% of the time, right? 10% will get worse, 10% of the patients, right? And 10% will stay the same, no matter what you do, no major changes. But in my practice over the years, I don't have any like objective data because I'm a single practitioner, a clinician in an office. But I would see people 95% or better get really, really improved. And what's really cool is, when you see that number, you're just kind of blown away. But because we're using the very, very latest and greatest, like I personally don't care what is wrong or what the underlying issue was. If we can get you better and you're like breaking through, that's what I really care about. So I know that there's a percentage though in the office that I couldn't affect. Maybe a few percent, I would say, on some level. And I would say there's something really wrong going on here. And they would usually have a much more severe infection or something really severe going on in the system. And that's why working with a medical practitioner is super vital. I had really wonderful medical doctors that we co-refer one another because we want the best for our patients. And like I said, I don't care how we get you there. We're going to get you there. That's the whole goal here. So, things that I would see in office, everything from irritable bowel to digestive issues to anxiousness to attention deficit, all a huge soup of subjective and objective diagnosed issues can be improved by this. And as a caveat, like my goal is to never go in and actually diagnose and treat that individual thing. We're going to bring balance to the way your hormones work. We're going to bring balance to the way the brain is functioning. We bring balance to the nutrition and the diet and the emotional parts. So it's really about balance. And you never have to go in and say, we're treating you for this thyroid or this cancers, or we don't even do that. It's all about a doctor of balance, really. And what's amazing is the human body will really begin to start to move in the direction it's meant to be. Right. That makes sense to you?
Yeah. So what are some examples of, maybe more severe conditions that, patients that came to you and they felt that there were no solutions for them, that maybe you were able to actually help them out?
I mean, major brain traumas, brain injuries that people, they're very sensitive to light. They can't go out. They're agoraphobic to the environment outside because it's way overstimulating to their brain because of different issues there. I mean, I've seen people that were in a wheelchair that had been diagnosed with a disease, something like MS, but it turns out it wasn't even MS, You see all these different types of misdiagnosis type things, but people that have chronically issues with digestion or chronic exhaustion and fatigue, it's like, well, what are you going to do for someone who's chronically fatigued in the medical world? I mean, I don't even know what they do. They use steroids, they may use some type of cortisone, which is over time terrible for you because it'll stimulate you, right? And it'll give you energy like caffeine, but it causes major osteoporosis and many other things. Like it's a big time issue. So I'm all for doing the approach that is best for the individual, but what I find is that if we think very logically and intelligently about how to support the body, people start to really bounce back quite quickly. Different individuals require more time, but if you have somebody that's chronically exhausted and chronically fatigued, that could be from a mineral issue, right? It could be from an under-functioning organ or gland, right? Like a thyroid or adrenal or pituitary, hypothalamus. You could have cancer. You could be exhausted because you have cancer. It's all these funny symptoms, and they say, oh, I'm always tired. Well, we have to find out, like, okay, is it infection? Because infection will do it too, Is it your hormones are out of balance? That could be it, It could be that you're eating or drinking the wrong thing. You start to look at these little adjuncts, and it really doesn't matter what happens. Like I said, a large percent of the population starts to turn around, improve quite quickly, and be able to go out and live their life more happy, more excited. And that's the whole purpose of this is, getting to the underlying causation. And when you start to deal with that, you never even have to treat the diagnosis. Actually, people come in with their diagnosis and I say, I have this, and I'm like, cool, I get it. But it's a very, and medicine, I don't know, understands that. They would think that was kind of nuts. Like, well, you got to treat the thing. It's like, yeah, yes, you want to put, new paint on the house and all that, but none of that matters if the bedrock is just falling apart. So that's where I work on is let's work on the bedrock, let's work on the foundation. And thank goodness we don't live in a house, right? We have our body, right? And the body has its own wisdom and intelligence that heals after a broken bone or after a wound. It heals, right? And you can support it to heal using laser light and nutrition and oxygen and all of these things, or you could not support it, and that would be things like smoking, which is pulling oxygen out of your body, or walking around in a constant state of anger, which pulls not only oxygen but also makes your body acidic so you don't heal as fast. So there's a way to support and there's a way to not support, and so we support foundation and you get to see really cool things.
Right. Well, I just love that you have this approach and have this philosophy that there is no dead end. There is no like, oh, that's it. There's nothing we can do. It's always just looking and seeking another approach, another solution. And I just really hope that, for those that are watching and that are maybe feeling disempowered and feeling like they're at the end of the road and there's nothing they can do, that they take the steps to work with a doctor of functional medicine, work with a practitioner who isn't telling them, oh, there's nothing we can do, but is going to actually help them to figure out what's going on and give them real solutions to help them out.
Yeah, I've never even thought about it, but I've never even thought of a dead end. Like, I've never even, like you saying that, I'm like, I've never even said, oh, there's nothing that we can do. That's like actually the most, if you have a practitioner that says that to you, you run out of their office, with joy because you're done with that person.
Right.
There is no dead end. It's infinite rabbit hole of things you can do. But what you want to not do is be in this infinite rabbit hole of doing all these things because it's expensive. It's a waste of time. You get somebody with a skilled practitioner, say, okay, do this, now do this, now do this. And you keep checking in with the body. Man, I mean, it's miraculous. I'm so grateful for this work and, just knowing that there is so much out there that can help you, just, stay with it. That's what I tell people.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Kuykendall, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing
I've enjoyed it.
All of this with us, and I look forward to future videos with you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you so much for taking this time to be here with us, to make this investment in yourself. I hope that you will visit some of the other videos that we have here for you, and I hope that they help you feel better. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon.